Today we'll be looking at a chess game by Rosanes and Andersen. And Andersen, who took the black pieces here, was the first champion of the tournament that they had in Europe, which was played in London in 1851. And this is where a lot of masters came from different countries in Europe and competed. So he won against all of them, and a month later they even decided to have a rematch, but Andersen still won. So Adolf Anderssen is playing against Rosanes, which is also another German chess master. So these are both German chess masters, and this match here took place in Breslau in 1861. Or actually 1863. And what we have here is a brilliant display of combinational play. And the game started e4, best by test, as Bobby Fischer would say, e5. And what this does is just basically it takes space in the center, and it's a great opening. So what happens next is f4. So White wants to take away black's space in the center, because after e takes f4, then black has one less pawn in the center, and White can then play d4 at some point, but not immediately, because if e takes f4, d4, then queen h4, and then after g3, f takes g3, knight f3, followed by g2 check, knight takes h4, and then queen takes h1. So black wins in this variation, but he doesn't have to play d4 right away. He can just prevent that queen h4 mess by playing knight f3. And now White plans to play d4, followed by bishop takes f4, where White has a lot of space in the center, and also after something like bishop e2, for example, and then castles, you have the rook taking control of this open file. So White's game is easy, but Black doesn't have to play according to White's rules. He actually played d5 here, and d5 is awesome because White still can play f takes e5 because of queen h4 followed by queen takes e4. For example, f takes e5 and then queen h4, and not g3 because of the classic queen takes e4 trick, queen e2. And because of this pawn in the way, this queen isn't pinned to the king, so the black queen can just take the rook. And I've won a couple of games like that, but in order to avoid that, White could play knight f3 here, although after for example, let's see, d takes e4, knight takes e5, then knight f6, black is okay. So here Rosanes played e takes d5, and the idea is basically just to stop black from getting a lot of pawns in the center. But then Andersen played e4, and what this does is it prevents White's idea of having an open f file for the rook. So this is blocked, and now the bishop also can't come out straight away to take the pawn on f4 with a straightforward developing move. But also more importantly is that black still has a pawn in the center. And what Rosanes did next is bishop b5 check. Now the idea is to get rid of this pawn, but everyone knows nowadays you want to keep all the pawns in the center controlling lots of squares. Like this pawn was preventing this knight from coming out. So instead of bishop b5, d3 is a good move, because this gets rid of the annoying e4 pawn and also allows the bishops to come out. So, and also you want to get rid of this pawn because it's preventing knight f3. So after bishop b5, c6, d takes c6, knight takes c6. And here I actually like b takes c6, and it looks like it's a bad move because you have isolated pawns, but we're so far away from the endgame that it doesn't even matter, because we'll probably end up winning due to the fact that we have open files that we can place our rooks in. The bishops are enjoying freedom. You also have space in the center with a pawn here. There's just too much advantage. Like after bishop e2, knight f6 followed by bishop c5, or maybe even bishop c5 straight away. So after bishop c5 also you prevent white from castling this way because it controls the diagonal. So Adolf Anderssen played knight takes c6 here, and it's a developing move, so it's okay, even though this bishop is pinning the knight right now. So white could actually get away with playing d4, although after d4 en passant, queen takes, bishop takes, check, and then b takes c6, c takes c3. The game is well, black's on a pawn here, so let's see. D takes c6. So yeah, that's something that could happen. I won't go too much into it, but it's pretty interesting. Maybe I'll go even knight f6 here, controlling these squares. So the game continued with knight c3 followed by knight f6, defending pawn, and queen e2, putting pressure on the e pawn, but now bishop c5. And the idea is to castle and just get out of the center right away. For example, if the game continued knight takes e4, and now black has a lot of pieces out. Black has 1, 2, 3. This knight isn't pinned anymore. White only has the queen, the knight, and the bishop out, but his king is unsafe and it can be subject to a pin after rook e8, taking control of the completely open file. So that's not good at all, and many games have been won just by attacking the king along an open file, taking advantage of that pin. For example, after knight takes c5 here, you have a classic pin, and that's bad. Or even knight takes f6, queen takes f6, and the king has to move out of the way. Maybe bishop takes c6 to prevent that pin, but then after something like queen takes c6, knight f3, or not because of this pin. So white has to move out of the way, and after maybe king f1, obviously black is a lot better. So after castles, Rosanes took on c6, now b takes c6 and d3, so that after knight takes e4, white doesn't have to take with the queen, but instead can just take with the pawn, and now he would have 2 pawns in the middle. Although after knight takes e4, d takes e4, queen d4, knight f3, white's okay. And something interesting would also be bishop e4 check, and c3 wouldn't be too good because of bishop b takes c3. Actually, it would be okay because after king f1, then 2 pieces are being attacked, and white wins a piece. So rook e8, pinning the knight. And after bishop d2, knight takes e4, d takes e4, and white has 2 pawns in the middle, but it looks like Rosanes is trying to cast a queen side, which isn't a good idea because black can take advantage of the open files, and maybe bishop f5 because of this pin. But what other choices do you have? You can't even castle kingside here. So bishop d2, knight takes e4, d takes e4. Bishop d4 is kind of interesting, although Better is just to bring out your pieces by bishop f5, and obviously not e takes f5, rook takes e2, or even first you might even want to trade with bishop takes g1, but it's really up to you. So I would definitely prefer in this case rook takes e2, knight takes e2, and then maybe queen to b6, and white, black's a lot better. So you also want to keep a lot of pieces on when you're up, because when you're down, well actually when you're up, you want to trade pieces. So bishop takes g1, rook takes g1, rook takes e2, king takes e2, and followed by forking. So you're attacking, well, actually there's no fork here, but you could fork 2 pawns here with queen d4, and now you have queen takes b2, or actually not even. But you get to centralize a queen, and after queen d4, rook e8, you're better. And the fact that the white king can't move to the back rank because of queen takes g1, then it's really good when you have all those combinations possible when you're just centralizing pieces. So after e5, queen b6, and now black is a lot better because the bishops are controlling the diagonals, and black is getting ready to bring out one rook to b8 and the other one to d8, and the game continued castles. Now that gets the king to safety up though. White could, I mean, he doesn't really have any other choice. After knight f3, then bishop takes c2, and the whole point is that white is totally down. Even bishop takes c2 is possible here, and after queen c4, it looks like white wins a bishop by the fork, but after bishop f2, king takes f2, queen takes d2, queen to e2, and white, black is better, although black wins another pawn just like that. So he could actually just play, instead of king takes f2, he could play king e2, and then bishop f5, getting that bishop to safety. Still not king f2, king takes f2 because queen takes d2, followed by queen takes f4. So knight f3, protecting the bishop. Bishop e6, bringing it back. Obviously with the bishop here in an open position, black's a lot better. Rook hd1, bishop e6, and queen takes e6 is totally a bad move because of rook c8, queen e4, bishop c4 check, and these two bishops are totally controlling. So king e1 is the only move. Bishop d4, bishop d3, rook queen to a4, rook c4, and this game is over. We have so many pieces controlling the center, and this king is going to become assaulted after, for example, rook e4. So that's just one combination that can happen when you have a lot of pieces in the middle. It's like power just waiting to be unleashed. Queen d6, castles, and now bishop d4, threatening mate. And there's two ways to stop this. You could play bishop c3, although it's not a good idea. Bishop c3, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, rook b8, and the king has to go back into the middle after king d2. Yeah, so that's totally not a good idea. There's even queen to a5 possible, threatening to capture here or go here. or you can even play rook to d8, creating a trap for the king that it can't go anywhere. And then followed by queen to a5. So c3 after bishop d4, and now rook b8, rook a b8, threatening checkmate. So b3, and now rook e d8. And so this is a move that even just compresses the white king from escaping. And now there's a beautiful threat that if it were our move again, we could actually capture on b3. Like queen takes b3, a takes b3, rook takes b3, and now rook to b1 checkmate has to be dealt with. And if white would try bishop e3 in that situation, then bishop takes e3, and then followed by rook b1 checkmate, where the king can't go onto the d file because of rook d8. So one of the ways to meet this threat is king b2, protecting this pawn. But then after bishop e6, and if c takes d4, then bishop takes b3, and followed by bishop takes b3, a takes b3, queen takes b3, and then checkmate next move. So white could try rook b1, but then we have checkmate again after bishop d1. Or let's see if there's something better. I like bishop d1. And then if king c3, then queen d4. Checkmate. So back to this position. After king b2, bishop e6, rook b1. Now there's a couple moves. You can still go with the sacrifice with bishop takes b3, king c1, getting the king to safety, and then queen c5, threatening to take here. And there's just so much combination present. So rook takes b3, rook takes b3, a takes b3, bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, and if king b1 now, then rook to d2. So queen c2, and now we can win the queen with queen to e1, check king to b2, and rook d2. There's even bishop c5, threatening to take advantage of this square. There's just so many ways to win here. Bishop c5 is the other variation that I was interested in. So knight f3, trying to get the knight to d4 to control b3, but then after queen a5, king a1, rook takes b3, and that is so deadly because now you're threatening rook a1, followed by rook takes a2, where the bishop on e6 supports that. So rook takes b3 because it's pinned, the pawn can't take it. Bishop takes b3, bishop to c1, controlling a3, but now we're gonna bring the rook over with rook b8, rook a6, and then we're gonna actually win the queen with queen b6, and then rook takes a2. So let's go back to the game. After knight f3, we can carry out a combination. Queen takes b3, and then a takes b3, rook takes b3, and there's no way to stop this. Like we said before, bishop to e3, then bishop takes e3, check, queen takes e3, and then rook to b1 checkmate, because the bishop protects the rook. But that's why we had to bring the rook from the e file to the d file, because after bishop e3, bishop takes e3, check, queen takes e3, rook b1. If the rook was still here, then the king goes to d2 and saves. So The game actually continued bishop e1, but it's still the same story. Bishop e3 check and checkmate in the next move. So if white tries to go here, then to interfere with the check, then rook b1 checkmate. So the game ended with bishop e1, bishop e3, and white resigned. So this was a game that is just so beautiful because it shows how that bringing all the pieces into the game leads to a complete domination. Like this rook on h1 is still asleep. This knight on f3 just came out, but it's too late. So white was basically playing with 2 pieces down the whole time. They weren't even in the game. And it shows that when you have 2 bishops in an open position, they control a lot of squares. And that's it for this game. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like. Feel free to donate. The link is in the description. And I'll see you in the next one.